lot of other mine workers in the...
Hey, we know it's the only way we can go, isn't it? And if we sit back and do nothing, I can just see us melting into the...
Well, I know that. I recognise that as much as anybody, and that's what's going to happen with NUM if they're not looking
That's
careful.
right. It's the demise of 40-odd years of nationalised industry, and one which, you know, we've been proud to be associated with. But I mean, you can't get away from the fact that in later years it's gone down and down and down. It's been mismanaged, it's been mishandled by government, by management.
I know, with some being out, it's a good omen. All I'm bothered about is it's a way of getting the message over to our lads that we're still trying to do something for them. We got to a situation where it looked very much on the cards that we would get an invite back into the TUC. And then when White Paper came out, in the end you decided to take days of action, and we didn't. McNestry, who's still very highly regarded on the TUC Council, sent a message that you either come out on strike with us or you've got no chance of getting back to the TUC. So we just sent him a message back, stuff the TUC as far up your nose it'll go.
Now, what would you like to drink?
Orange juice, please.
Okay. Would you like to drink at all?
By way of introduction, I'd like to introduce you to you today. On my far right, Mr. Bill Carr, who is President and Chief Executive of Jim Walter Resources. My immediate right, Mr. Neil Greatrix, the President of the Union of Democratic Mine Workers. The purpose of today's meeting is to announce from the UDM their selection of a mining partner to join with them in making an appraisal of the opportunity to bid for British Coal on privatisation. And you will find, after our brief discussion, copies of biographical details of Bill Carr, from which you'll probably note that he started his mining career in British Coal, so he's coming full circle.
In Alabama and in the US, the coal industry in the last 10 years has doubled. The thing they like about coal is that it's competitive. It can beat oil, and it can beat gas, and it can beat nuclear. The nature of the game is price and competition. Here we are, similar conditions to us. We can operate at productivities that are roughly 100% of what British Coal operates at. Why couldn't we transfer our technologies and designs and mining expertise into the Midlands, where there is a young, experienced, qualified workforce in similar conditions to ours?
We're not after people getting involved with people that's in for a short time to rape the industry, to make a massive profit and then to get out. We're looking initially for a future for the industry, a future for our members, and long-term employment prospects for the industry.
Thanks very much. Morning. I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Fine, thanks.
Thank you very much. Can you tell me where your hand luggage has been?
Thank you. It's the second aisle. And how about you? Fortune, thank you, is the second aisle.
How are you gentlemen today? Morning. Very good. Morning.
Well, I nearly lost my position in Knox on 3 separate occasions for being outspoken in support of Labour Party.
And Kleinworks, being the merchant banks, are putting the package together on behalf of the UDM.
You had steel making here, didn't you?
The reason Birmingham was here was because of the had the coal, iron ore, and limestone all within a close proximity. Now we have the 4 deep mines, then we have a land department and a degas division.
Oh God, it's got a gun.
Everybody carries guns here.
They've been known to shoot themselves too.
Yeah.
How are you? Fine, thank you.
All right, Neil, good to see you. Mark,
Nice to see
how
you
are
again.
you?
Good
George,
morning, Will.
good to see you, sir.
Morning, Bill.
How are you doing? Good to see you. Come on in. Welcome to Alabama.
The only thing that's wrong with British coal is that it's uncompetitive. Now, if a year from now, well, let's be a little more, 2 years from now, we're achieving productivities in your minds equivalent to ours here, then the effect of that on cost is going to be enormous. And the ability for guys like Jim to then go out into the marketplace and offer the coal at a price that is competitive. And I don't care, you know, even if your coal is moderate coal, if your pricing is aggressive and competitive, then you'll sell the coal.
I mean, I can't justify to anybody that sits there and says to me, what the hell are you doing allowing people to coal 7 days a week? Apart from the fact that if we didn't, most of the bloody pits would shut on economic ground. Sounds daft and...
Well, yeah, I guess if you look at this, you've got to take the sales into the picture though, and that coal, because it's produced and it's sat on the ground, it's still not sold. I mean, it's still sat there.
You work 7 days a week?
No, we do what's necessary. Yeah, I do. Ooh.
That was great. That was great.
At least.
The thing's been so ballsed up in British coal for so many years now that I can understand a workforce, both on the operating side and the management side, being totally out of sync with the objectives of the enterprise. And when you've got that, you've got nothing. I mean, you've got nothing. In fact, you've got less than nothing. You've got a negative.
Yep.
It's such a long while since I've been in the operational side of British coal, but I know there's some damn good people there. One of the things that attracts me to this proposition is I know there's some damn good technical management there. I know there's some first-class operating people there and a good work ethic. And it seems to me that there's more than the fact that, well, British coal are just a set of assholes when it comes to managing coal mines. There's more to it than that, and we've got to look a little more deeper than that. The last group that we had here from Welbeck, we had a round-up session in our room there with them before they went away, and they were fired up with some of the things that they'd seen and some of the things that they were going to try when they got back. And that to me is a hell of a hopeful sign. They're the guys that work in those conditions day after day, and they know what they're like.
Well, I do about your diamonds, and I don't know the particular circumstance of where they're actually working or what their intent on doing. But they can go back with the best interest at heart, and it won't be allowed to happen.
Well,
I mean, why do they have to come here to you to be fired up? I mean, this is the point you say, we've said to British Coal Management, can't be a bunch of arseholes. But these guys equally didn't rise with the industry and get to the positions they're not for being ungifted. Yet you say you got them fired up, and Neil says as soon as they get back, they won't be able to put that into implementation.
We've been a little bit disconcerted at the number of managers and deputies and assistants and whatnot that there is in the hierarchy there. And that's obviously an area for some examination.
I don't know about an examination. They want the bloody operation. They want the snitch.
Well, one follows the other.
You all right, eh? I'll see you again. I asked you last night what your views were on Bill Carr. How does the relationship develop, and what's he like to work for?
I've been knowing him ever since he's been here, and I've worked with him all along, and I've always had a good, open communications with him, and he's always told me up front, and he's always stuck to his words, and of course, everybody has some disagreements sometimes, but overall, I think we've got a good working relationship with him. When you depend on when he tells you something, and he'll back it up.
Mm-hmm.
This is number 5, man. Pull up a little here, and we'll get out and kind of point anywhere along in here. It'll be fine, Dennis. it separates out the big rock immediately, and then the product that's left with the coal goes up that incline conveyor. It's very high quality metallurgical coal.
You know what? There's a fair amount of mine workers live in this locality. Are they in these little shack things?
Some of them probably are, because really, you know, the coal miners here are better paid, well above the average income. If they live in a house like this, it's because they want to, not because they can't afford something better.
At the quarry I worked at, the ordinary shaft caught, tipped over, and there were 11 men in. And they found one, and he was hanging in, there was a hook hanging out to the shaft side, and he was found hanging with his braces.
Oh.
And he lived until he was 98. And you talk about God being on your side that day. I mean, for the other 10, it were hopeless, but at least for that
They were
one.
gone with it.
Oh, yeah. If you don't like supervisor, you could always hang him underneath it, couldn't you? Proper bit. You see that happening in Britain.
Padlock. You say leave your kits dry. That's why it's called a mine dry. Shooters.
As I say, I've never told the truth.
You don't want to wake them up.
How long have you worked for Jim Walter?
We're going down.
Going on 21 years.
Get you ready. Oh, yeah.
Graduated high school in '57, went into the ore mines. My dad was an ore miner. My grandfathers were ore miners. Right there in Birmingham, hard rock mining. Sure did. Went right out of high school, right into mining. Sort of like a family business.
Now, every section that you're on, there's a big silver first aid box that's got first aid equipment, and there's a map in it just like this, and it'll be marked just like this. You can take that map, and you can follow the red, and it'll take you to the nearest intake air shaft, which will be our production shaft from where you're going to be.
You don't need to worry about that, mate, because wherever he's going, we follow him.
He's not always a good plan. He's not going to be in the secondary scope, I guarantee you. But that kind of show you which way you're going to the east side of the mine, probably a mile and a half or so out, and have a good trip. Just be careful.
Thanks very much.
Got it, we're ready. It goes to the bucket.
Yeah.
Tune into the BBC.
Do what?
Do we have a...
This is the UBS inside story.
Is twin seams very common
Yes.
in England?
Yes.
Because I've never seen a twin seam.
We
So you actually have different portals, different.
stages to get off
Yeah.
each other, yeah. Keep yourself in touch with the changes that's taking place.
Yeah. If you're not down there. You don't need mine clerks in England.
If they're all as pretty as you, yes, there'd be no doubt about
Isn't
that.
it nice? That and charm.
It's just really the control room where everything comes in, tells me exactly where the walls are cutting, if they're down, the sections, how much coal they're
Well,
running.
there's a coal dumping from a main belt. We hoist probably in the neighborhood of about 1,300 ton an hour.
How long you worked here then?
14 years.
14 years?
I was underground a little over 10 years, worked at a supervisor job, and that's it.
How long has the rule been in there then that women can work in mines?
We first got them in about 77.
It's a relatively new thing.
Yeah.
The law's changed now to allow women to work in mines, but because of the rundown of our industry, the job opportunities for women has just not been there. I've been trying to get mother-in-law a job now for bloody years, but we've got no women actually working underground.
I run all the equipment underground. Roof bolting, scoop, round car, that crazy machine that we had, what do we call it? It was so hard out there, I only had about 4 people underground that could run it, but I could run it. It's real complicated. We got rid of that.
Took a lot of curtain line out with
Most of the people, you gonna tell him your nickname? Most of the people here have nicknames.
Sugar britches. Don't talk about it.
I'm going to say, you're going to tell us the reason for it.
No, we don't want to talk about
If I got her to stand up, you'd know. Little under.
You scared it?
Little under.
There's no safety on this.
This is waving it around.
Single action gun. It's a double action, but to shoot it, just pull the hammer back.
Every time?
No, it's double action.
Yeah,
But you can't get the accuracy.
Yeah.
If you'll cock
That one's kind of loud.
This son of a bitch is loud.
Wow! You got it first time!
That's got some bolt, hasn't it?
What about the green bottle now? Try it.
Good! All right, George said we gotta go, man.
George is gonna stop the fun, hell, we gotta quit.
Neil, I believe you qualify for an Alabama coal miner.
If ever I can see something that's going to be a block on this whole process, it is the fact that we do not have, for a sufficient length of time, a guarantee of where we're going to dispose of our product. And that until we've got that, we're spinning our wheels. I've just been depressing myself this afternoon going through those Caminus reports and the Boyd report again, just to refresh my mind. And you know, you can come up with a market there that's about 5 million tons a year if we're damn lucky. I mean, that would generate about as much interest on this side of the table as a bucket of spit.
Yes.
You know, we just, that just does not attract us at all. Yeah, we've already talked of the need for, you know, the technological change that's got to happen, the structural changes that have got to happen in the industry, people changes that have got to take place. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's got to be done there, and you don't do it overnight. There's a 2-year interim there that we would need to have some success in those areas. And then after that, we need 5 years of an assured market, and after that, we fight for the market. Pricing will determine. But until that time, at that point in time, there's a need for some structure. Now, so I come back, you know, George, you're the wizard there, or the political wizard. What would be the best way to proceed on that? Should we press for a debate, or should we go through the other channels that are available?
Well, we should do both, perhaps. Neil's very keen to go for the debate. My concern is that the people in the very thin majority that the Conservatives have got, who are prepared to come out, if you like, generally on the side of the industry in this issue, like Winterton and Winston Churchill and so forth, they have now, I think, a busted flush. They're a spent force. And what I don't want to do is to lose our powder, get our powder wet and have a debate that is inconclusive, that doesn't really change anything, and then that hardens the civil servants and the ministers to say, oh, well, there's no real danger in Parliament, we just get on and sort it out to suit ourselves.
Well,
what I want to do is to keep putting forward proposals that make sense, that mean with every step of the ratchet that the consortium is more viable and is more the means of getting them off the hook. And the more we can think through what is a palatable solution to these above-surface stocks, the nearer we get to it, in my view.
It may well be necessary that if we feel that we're losing the day with Edgar and Lockhead and people like that, I've always got the fallback, if I like, from a comment that Major made when I met Major, that if you feel it's necessary to come back, then ring and we'll arrange it. Now, it could well be that at the end of the day, if we start losing the argument through them, that we have to arrange a meeting to go and see Major, and maybe that's the time when you ought to be there involved with us.
It seems that the whole process is Mickey Mouse stuff, unless this business of what we do with our product is sorted out. And,
if we're losing the argument, Neil, going to the Prime Minister at that stage won't help. Because once we're losing, they will have 101 ways of briefing him. He'll be polite and nice and go and say what a great thing the UDM is and everything. But he won't intervene. He's not like his predecessor, who would have picked up the phone and just stopped them in their tracks. I don't think he would do that for them. I think we've simply got to continue to be seen as the viable way of getting them off the hook.
As much as he started yesterday on about, you know, this not taking place and that not taking place, that's a load of bullshit. That he's really and truly interested in this and wants it to work.
So he said 65-35.
Which I think was better odds than any of us have put on it.
Even yesterday, yeah, he said that today, and I think in an attempt to try and make amends a bit for the conversation yesterday. But I've never been under any illusion that he's as desperate for this as what we are. And so it's going to work, I think. He wants it to work, and that's the main thing. If both parties want it to work, it'll work. There's an extended review meeting at Weymouth tomorrow.
The Tulip era is over. Graham Taylor has quit his...
Yes! Best bit of news we've had since October 14.
McMenemy and O'Neill.
I bet he's gone out with about 200 grand in back pocket. He'd be all right employed by British Coal. They balls everything up and then go out with a golden handshake.
Looks like there'll be a caretaker boss for a while.
Thank you. I have informed the meeting that you're attempting to get the additional £1,500.
Well, there's no deal on that whatsoever. They've just rung national level and they've told them that the terms that they've laid out in the meeting are their only terms that's on offer for us today.
Those that are against accepting the package that's on offer till next Friday, will you please show? Those that are against it. Can I have an indication on those that wish to avail themselves of that package that's on offer till a week today? I would say that the majority is for those to take the package that's on offer for a week today. Agreed?
There's transfers available. People will be interviewed, they'll be asked what your preference is, but the fact is that this place will close a week on Friday.
Week today.
Morning.
If I did not feel that I had you people in with me, in lockstep virtually, and we're both all travelling down the same road and singing from the same hymn sheet, then I guess I'd walk away from it. Someone asked me the other day why we're not interested in Yorkshire, and the answer is obvious. I don't look for trouble.
You've talked this morning a lot about the American system that you've got, where you're working 24 hours a day or producing 24 hours a day. Is that going to be your intention if you get this industry?
Now look, we take a particular mine and if it made sense to work an alternate work schedule from the point of view of hours and changing on the job and days a week, whatever it made sense to make the coal at that colliery, at that coal mine, profitable and cheap, then that's what we'd look at.
See, the problem you've got with men, obviously now, we're balloting them on this offer. And a lot of them, for whatever reason, they see this as its first offer. They see it as first offer. Because we're not going to accept it first offer. You know, it's not what we expected. It's got good points, it's got some bad points. You're asking us to agree to a document that you say there's going to be safeguards written in. That's not acceptable. We want to see a document with safeguards written in, so we know what we're being balloted on. That's what's coming back from a lot of people now, strong and clear. And obviously, if this was the second or third, and I appreciate exactly everything you've done there, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting you down when I say this. If they'd have been balloted on the £2,000 lump sum offer and the rest of the package, I mean, we hadn't seen none of that. You're just telling us that this is the third offer.
Yeah.
As far as we're concerned, it's the first offer.
Now, to be fair, even when they'll come to meet him and he said that, I mean, and I think I said it there on Friday, well, the reaction you'll get is, well, if you got there in 4 hours, if you stop there a bit longer, you get that, don't you?
Somebody stood up and said that. If it started off at 2,500, and you got it up to 6,000 in 4 hours, then why don't you go back for a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, fair enough, you fucking do that, but I'm telling you that there's no more to come. That's the end of the line.
It's been made clear at Welbeck that they're your views, but I'm afraid that trying to gauge reaction at many is going to be along the same lines as Bill's thought. I'm led to believe Thor's bit, and I've spoken to Terry this morning, and it has to be an all.
Well, that's where we are with it then, youth. At least people have known what's been on offer. And all right, it might work that we reject it and they come back and offer something else. My feelings are that they ain't going to do. But it's a risk that we take, but as long as everybody knows it's that risk, I'm happy with that. And they've got a bloody choice to make now. They either want it or they don't.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then that's so be it.
Cheers. They voting you two?
Be up tomorrow, Norrie.
Right up to that. Stuart, what's your number?
855.
There you go.
Yeah.
They voted, even though you have got elected group.
There's enough in there for me to think it's a good deal, and that's me, my personal view. But the biggest thing that satisfied me was the guarantee of redundancy for 4 years. But the lump sum is high enough. I accept that people are expecting more, but I can't change that. We believe we've got to the end of the road, and I believe Neil Gretich when he says that. If I'm proved wrong with this, if it's rejected, then I'll eat my words.
So you're happy too?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councillor, 133, you've got book.
Yes.
20s, 20, and 98 mils.
Are you happy with that, Trev?
Yeah.
All of this?
Yeah.
It's definite no.
Resounding no.
Right, that's it. That's a Welbeck decision. Man's been balloted. The answer's no.
I think that'll portray to everybody concerned the total rejection that miners have got for this abysmal offer. You're talking about 3 pits. There's only 25 to accept it. And 1,000 rejecting it. Now that's the magnitude. Right.
My biggest concern now is what we do with the request from Thorsby to support some form of action. Because if we're not careful, we either end up with no bits and no organisation, because we've gone against the law and
think you need to consider it very closely because I think that's what the man
I know it
is saying, you know, now.
I know what
I
you're saying,
mean,
mate.
you
And I've told them all, I said, you're going to end up, if you're not careful, without any... I told our consortium yesterday, they're all talking about what we're going to do, what we're going to bid for. I said, I think you're a bit presumptuous, I do. There might not be out there left to bid for.
The only thing that they're bothered about is if they're locked in the system, they're bothered about themselves and they're bothered about money.
That's why, mate, as much as people are against it, and as much as I knew it would make Gretrix unpopular, I recommended acceptance of it. Because at least that way, people that's locked in the system would have some guarantees. We've got all now. We've got nothing.
Well,
and I can see us going into privatisation still with nothing.
Red at Day, we've got a 5-day agreement from Monday to Friday. And that's what they want, isn't it? They want to change that, and they can't change that without our say-so.
Well, there's no doubt about that. That's what they're after. They're using the argument in Guardian this morning that they want it to try and make the best possible, pave the way for the best possible takeover under privatisation. And there's no doubt about it that the people who's going to be involved in privatisation want a flexible working agreement. As far as I'm concerned, my duty to your people is to get you the best redundancy terms available, because I believe that you're entitled to redundancy before privatisation, same as every bugger else has had. Then when privatisation comes, I get the best deal that I possibly can to retain an industry and keep as many people employed in that industry as I can. That's where I stand on it. Now, you let it... I said last time I were at a meeting of this nature, you're going to have to really take it on trust. That's where I stand. People that know me ought to be well aware of that. I've been up front with you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your Chief Steward speaking. I'd like to welcome you aboard. We offer a full buffet service this morning, conveying teas, coffees, a full range of freshly made sandwiches, hot bacon tomato rolls, cheeseburgers.
Put it to a ballot, and 93% of the people that participated in that ballot said stuff it up your nose.
How could, I mean, let's suppose it went through privatisation. The redundancy terms, except for flexible working, there'd be no flexible working agreement in the industry. There'd be no labour agreement in the industry whatsoever.
Well, they would, because you'd carry through then our 5-day working week under 2p.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Which would severely hamper scope for manoeuvre for any new owner.
Yes, correct.
So, I mean, you do have a hold on them.
Well, it all depends whether they've got somebody that's prepared to pick it up on a trade sale. Because I can see them resorting to that, don't I mean, I've already told Tim Enger that this could be a deal buster for us.
No, absolutely.
With JWR.
Well, I mean, what?
And Bill were up front and he told me, he says that if we don't get flexible working, it's a deal buster. And I said, well, so be it. I mean, I'd got enough on my plate at that time. They'd start falling out with Bill over whether it's going to be a deal buster or not. But I said, well, if that's it, then that's it.
Yeah, but in the only privatisation and the only excuse for flexible working is under a scheme such as the one devised by our consortium, and we don't want to favour any other bidder at all.
I accept that. But the government don't see it that way.
I'm sure they don't, but I mean, we want to win this bidding contest, and one way of bidding it...
Well, it's an argument. I mean, our lads have said by 93% we're not having it, and that's where we stand on it. The pink and the white.
Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous, that. Bit like a union official at the minute, going round in circles, getting nowhere.
So what's happening today now?
Well, I've got a meeting arranged with Malcolm Edwards and his team. Now that JWR have withdrawn from consortium, I've called the meeting today and I've asked Kleinworth Benson to be there, and Bruce Valentine from Corey Coal. And hopefully I can resurrect something for privatisation with Malcolm Edwards. If I can't, then that's the end of our bid for privatisation. It's as simple as that. But I'm quite hopeful that we'll get something out of the meeting today and be able to get us back on the rails towards privatisation.
So if Nottinghamshire miners had come out with Yorkshire in like 84, would things have been different?
I don't think anybody will ever know the answer to that. I've toyed with, you know, and lost a lot of sleep in the years since then on toying with the fact of whether it would have changed had we come out with the action that we take, enable all trade unions to be defeated. I don't think anybody will ever know. What I do know is that the reason that we did do what we did was the right reason, that it was to retain democracy. But had you had the foresight to look forward and seen what was going to happen to the trade union movement in general, I don't know whether that would have changed people's minds or attitudes to what we actually did. No doubt about it, what we did, it's something we've got to live with. And I've got no regrets whatsoever on what I did.